How many of you have seen the Echo 590 that we built a custom head for? We made some repairs to it. We're going to give it a run today. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, Echo 590. It's been a while since we've done anything on this saw, but I have made some changes. So, I had an issue with the saw flooding. I'd try to start it and it would flood out. It started out as like a situation where it, well, if I tried to start it with a choke, it would flood out. So I had to start it without the choke. You know what I mean? And that should have been a clue. But as time went on, it just, instead of starting, it would flood. And it would do that more and more and more often. So today, I threw a new coil on there. I have a feeling we're just running into a weak coil issue. So we're going to take it out for a test run. And those of you, I mean, this thing is pretty heavily modified. We cut the top off, custom built a head for it. I have made a change since you last seen it. Initially, we bolted her down with just some sealant. Eventually, that sealant ended up blowing out. So I made a custom copper head gasket for this. Now, that raised my squish number. I think we're sitting around 30 to 35 thousandths right now on our squish because of that new copper gasket. So we'll probably eventually get back in there, make a couple of tweaks, and bump that down closer to like 20, 25 thousandths. I still haven't got a muffler on it. Briscoe said he's got one he's going to send us, but it needs welded. So whenever we get that, we're going to get that muffler swapped out. We still got to do the carburetor, air filter, and all that stuff. So, you know, this is going to be a project that we're working on for a little while. And in the end, we hope to raffle it off. This is one of those projects that you never know how it's going to run in the long term. And I'd hate to say, here, charge somebody a couple $100 for it. You know what I mean? I really don't want to charge somebody a couple $100 for it. So, what we're going to do is we're going to raffle it off so that, you know, maybe you only paid $20 for it. As she pops, then, I mean, you're out $20. It's a lot better than a couple of hundred. You know what I mean? So that's why we're going to raffle it. And maybe it'll give an opportunity to somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of money laying around, you know? Maybe all they can afford is that $10 or $20 and, you know, give them a chance to get something like this. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. We're not at the point of the raffle, though. We still got a lot of things to do here yet. Some bugs to work out. But we're going to take it out, and we're going to give her a test run. So, you know what I mean? I just sharpened the chain up. Hopefully it's decent. The rakers were quite a bit off, so I took some off. Probably could do a little bit more work to the chain, but I think we'll be all right with it as is, you know? So, yeah, let's see what she can do with a new coil and the head gasket fixed. You know what I mean? If you haven't seen any of the previous videos on this, we do have a playlist. You just got to go into the actual channel and not just watch one video. You actually have to go through the channel and look at the playlist in the channel, and you'll see all the videos for this saw. So just in case you're curious, there is a playlist. You get to see everything. What do you say we take her out and make some cuts? Now, I haven't mentioned in a while that I have memberships available on the channel. The cheapest one is like $1. And if you're not familiar with memberships, there's a spot right beside the subscription button. You click on that and it takes you to the memberships. Pretty easy to figure out. The cheapest one is like $1, which turns into like $12 a year. So it's just something that helps finance these weird projects that I get into. You know what I mean? And then it lets me do stuff like this and, you know, raffle it off in the future. I mean, I got, I'm several $100s into this project already, and it helps to finance stuff like this. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? But if you're interested, The memberships are there, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. But yeah, alrighty, let's get on with this. I already had this guy fired up today, but it's been a couple hours. So hopefully she doesn't flood when I choke it, because it used to do that. All right, there we go. I'm pretty happy right now. She's running spot on to a point. I mean, there's a carburetor issue there. And these are known to need a carb swap. So I'm not really going to dive into it a whole lot until I get into the other carburetor. See, it's just the very first touch of the throttle. It gives you a hesitation. And just something about it's a little off. I'm not going to dive into that too much until I get the other carburetor. I think I'm going to put a 460 carb on it. I think that's the route we're going to go. What else? Chain, bar, I mean, they're all right. Chain's a little bit grabby, but as long as I apply a little bit of pressure, she's fine. And on the smaller wood, she's fine too. It's just a little bit touch on the grabby side, which, I mean, for the oak that it is, it's as dry as it is and everything, it's to be expected. Like, I would not dial a chain into this wood. It's just too dry. You know what I mean? It'll give you a false result for a more of a real world situation, if you know what I mean. So you got to be careful dialing your chain in on stuff like this, because if you start going out and cutting your firewood or dropping trees and stuff, you're going to find your chain is a little off. It's because you dialed it into something really hard and dry. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. But as far as the saw itself, I'm completely happy. She's running great. The muffler, I still, when I started this build, I liked the muffler. As time goes on, I like the muffler less and less and less. So I'm looking to get a stock can and put one of the ports on it too. You know what I mean? To go that route. It'll be a little more of what you're used to hearing over this thing, this homemade job. But otherwise, yeah, I'm completely happy with this saw. She's running great, and it's been a while since we ran it. I took it to Sawfest, and I couldn't run it at Sawfest because, I wasn't going to race it at Sawfest. I was just taking it to kind of show some people, but I couldn't get it to start, and the whole time it was this coil. I thought it was flooding, just a flooding issue from the carb or whatever, and here it's just, the coil was getting weak on me. The spark just wasn't quite hot enough, you know what I mean? So, and that is a 620 coil that I put on there. So, from what I understand, the 620 coils can wind out in the RPM better than the 590 coils. So those of you who might have expected to hear more of that popping and cracking sound, I think it's because of how much more efficient I have the saw running from the work that I've done to it, and the coil, the combination of the both. It was able to wind out a little bit better, and it's clean. No issues whatsoever. I could make it hotter. She's a large squish number. She's sitting in the 30s, so she should run cool. The two-piece head, or putting that head on there, really just fixed a design issue. All we really did was fix a design issue with the saw, and it really made a huge difference in the way she runs, performs, and feels and everything. It is extremely snappy off the throttle, and whenever I get that carburetor on it, I bet you it's going to get even better. So I'll be curious to see how she runs after we get the carb on it and a better muffler. Those two things, because she's probably going to run even better than this. You know what I mean? But hey, until that time, this is what we got. And keep an eye on it, because eventually we are going to raffle this thing off. And hey, it could end up being yours for 10 or 20 bucks. You know what I mean? It's not a bad running saw. So it ain't perfect, not by a long shot. She was a pretty rough saw when I got it. She's got chunks missing and parts missing, and you know what I mean? Screws are mismatched, and it's kind of what the territory. The chain adjuster on it is pretty much shot. You gotta struggle with it to get the chain tight. There's little repairs that need made all over it, but right now I'm just more concerned with getting it to perform right, and we'll see how this goes in the future. So alrighty, we'll catch you in the next one. Later.